Everybody to the January 3rd, 2024 Milford Inland Wetland Agency organizational and regular meeting. Lisa, can you please call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav.
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker. Jim Connors. Matthew Connors.
Here.
Heather Donaldson Gladue. Steve Munson.
Here.
Julie Valvo.
Here.
Brendan Magnan.
Here.
We have a quorum, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. As we continue to host remote meetings, I want to take the opportunity to highlight a few guidelines to ensure the business runs efficiently and that all statutory and administrative rules are followed. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. During this meeting, if members of the Inland Wetlands Agency would like to speak, please utilize the raise your hand feature via Zoom. All participants will be muted during the meeting unless recognized by the chair. After being recognized to speak, please state your name and address prior to making a statement. Speak only to the items in the jurisdiction of the Inland Wetland Agency: wetlands, brooks, rivers, flooding, and wetland habitat. Zoning issues are not under our review. Per the Milford Inland Wetland Agency bylaws, the first meeting in January is the organizational meeting of the agency, with the election of chairman, vice chairman, and parliamentarian. Item B of tonight's agenda is the organizational meeting, and I will now read in the chairman's responsibilities. Bylaws, section 5.2, the chairperson shall preside at all meetings and hearings of the MIWA and has authority that includes but is not limited to calling special meetings, directing or authorize actions of the MIWA designated agents. When in the judgment of the chairperson or the agent, action is required during the period of time between regularly scheduled meetings or before a special meeting can be called. Appoint subcommittees for purposes and terms approved by the MIWA. Attend all subcommittee meetings as an ex officio member of each committee, and attend significant city meetings as required to represent the MIWA. Bylaws section 5.3 states that the chairperson shall have the privilege of discussing and voting on all matters before the MIWA, but shall not move for or second any motion. Lisa, can you run the election of officers for 2024?
Certainly. I'm going to call for any nominations for chairman.
Brandon,
I'd
excuse
like
me.
to nominate Brendan Magnan as chairman.
I'm guessing, Jim, you're going to second that?
I'll second that. Yes.
Are there any other calls for nominations? Any other nominations? No, calling once, twice, 3 times. All right, I will close nominations and I will cast 1 vote for Brendan to be chairman.
Thank you for the honor to be your chair for the calendar year 2024. Appreciate that, and the nomination, and appreciate you guys' support. I will.
Thank you for doing it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Connors. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I appreciate working with the staff. We have a really good, small, nimble team, and we get the job done really well. So thank you for your vote of confidence. I'm going to call the meeting to order and run the remainder of the elections. Lisa, could you please facilitate the vice chair responsibility? I'm sorry, just if I could, just to recap the vice chair responsibilities pursuant to bylaws 5.4, the vice chair person shall perform the duties of the chairperson during the absence or incapacity of the chairperson and such other duties as the chairperson may direct. And Lisa, if you could call for nominations for the vice chair role, please.
Are there any nominations for the vice chair? Who's currently the vice chair? Do we know?
Mr. Munson is currently the vice chair.
Okay, that would help then, right? Do I hear any
Would you like
nominations
to
for
be
vice
vice
chair?
chair again, Steve?
I nominate Steve.
And I'll second it.
We have a nominee. I would like. Oh, sorry, Lisa. You're doing.
Julie Valvo first and Jim Connors second. Are there any other nominations for the vice chair position? Calling once, twice, 3 times. Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. I cast 1 vote.
Thank you
Congratulations,
all.
Mr. Munson.
Your pleasure.
Very well deserved. Thank you. Thank you for serving. The next role to be nominated and voted is the parliamentarian, and the responsibilities pursuant to bylaws 5.5 conveys that the parliamentarian shall perform duties of the chairperson and vice chairperson during the absence or incapacity of both the chairperson and vice chairperson, and such other duties as the chairperson may direct. The parliamentarian shall rule on questions of procedure in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. Lisa.
Who is currently the parliamentarian?
Heather Donaldson Gleddu.
Okay, so I call for any nominations for the parliamentarian.
I'd like to nominate Matt Connors.
Okay. I'll second that.
Great.
Are there any other nominations? Once, twice, 3 times. Any other nominations for parliamentarian? I cast 1 vote, deeming Matthew Connors parliamentarian.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you for your service. You have one of the toughest jobs, keeping us honest, because we run afoul of Robert's rules. Great. Okay. I would like to ask for a motion to allow Compliance Officer Mary Rose Palumbo to act as the designated agent of the agency.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second by Mr. Connors. Thank you for that. Lisa, roll call vote.
I'm sorry. Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Congratulations, Mary Rose, and thank you for your expertise in serving as the designated agent.
Thank you. And I'll just note that my resume is on file in the agency office.
Thank you. I'd just like to open up or conclude the organizational meeting with just a few reminders for all the agency and for the benefit of the record. We need to make sure that we're honoring the bylaws, and please familiarize yourselves with the bylaws at least once a year. Please focus and draw your attention to section 1.1 of the regulations as well, and section 10 of the criteria, which is used in making a decision. Reminder of the importance of ex parte communication. We take great pride in bringing applications through our process in a very fair way, in a very transparent way, consistent with the City of Milford ethics guidelines and Freedom of Information Act. It would also be great, especially for 2024, if we're going to continue to have Zoom meetings, which it seems like we will, to have cameras on, especially during voting, ideally during the whole meeting if possible, to make the process as transparent as possible. And of course, as Mary Rose already mentioned at the onset of the meeting, of course, we've got to be focused on the substantive wetland questions pertaining to our jurisdiction. And that is it. I would like to now move on to the regular meeting. If we could all stand and unmute ourselves, everyone in attendance could stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll begin with item C. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
stand
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
visible,
Liberty.
with liberty
Justice.
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
Great, thank you. We're going to move now on to public comments. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to address the commission on topics not otherwise on the agenda? Is there anyone from the public wishing to be recognized on topics not otherwise on the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move on to old business, E1. Mary Rose, if you could please introduce this one.
This is a proposal by the city, this is E1 IW 230074, 57 New Haven Avenue, Founders Walk. It's a proposal by the city of Milford for the relocation and removal of parts of Shipyard Lane, the reconfiguration of some existing parking areas and storm drainage improvements as phases of the Founders Walk project. The proposed work for this phase includes removing portions of Shipyard Lane east and creating a pedestrian walkway along the Wetland River. The replacement and upgrades to some of the stormwater infrastructure and water quality improvements. The stormwater outfall repairs and replacements are being done under Connecticut DEP permitting. The agency is reviewing the work proposed within 150 feet of the Wetland River, a small area of inland wetlands that is upgradient of the coastal jurisdiction line, and to ensure protection of the natural resources, including sedimentation and erosion controls. The city engineer's review is in the meeting documents. The project engineer, Don Smith, submitted a letter that is also in the documents addressing the city engineer's questions from our last meeting. I spoke with Mr. Smith and Greg Pidalewski, and they agreed on the stormwater as proposed on the site plans. There have been no other outstanding questions from the agency since the presentation on 12/20/23. And there's been no call for a public hearing, and there's been no public questions that have come in. We do not have any consultants with us this evening. The agency had no questions at the last meeting.
Thank you, Mary Rose, for that synopsis. This evening, the agency can ask questions. We can take no action. We can request additional information, schedule a site walk, approve the application, or deny the application. What is the prerogative of the agency?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Connors.
I was just going to ask Mary Rose if there's any specific areas of concern with this project.
Let me just pull up the plans, Matt. Hold on a second. The main areas of concern that we have is obviously the work along the river. There's a minor amount of inland wetlands that is upgradient of the coastal jurisdiction line along this area in a couple of spots. Phase 1 is the north part, the parking lot, moving the road, and then phase 2 will create the walkway and do the plantings and reconfigure the parking area at the library for a book drop-off. So my main area of concern is that phase 2A, keeps the sedimentation up here and off the courts and away from the drainage structure so it doesn't get in the river. We'll have protections at the outfalls and on the catch basins. And then when we get to phase 2B, the concern is they're working much closer to the river. A lot of this work is under Connecticut DEP permitting. So that will be watched by DEP as well. It's a staging project to make sure that some of the sediments from here will be removed. They're not suitable for creating a roadway. So it's getting dirt in and out without getting into the catch basins and getting into the resource. I don't know if that answers your question, Matt.
It does.
Okay. Do you want there is a planting plan that you should just hold your eyes for a second because this scroll really fast. There's some, as Steve Wing went over at our last meeting, there is a minor planting plan. It's a very large set of plans, so it takes a while for everything to load. that they do have some plantings that are going in along the river at the end of the project. Hopefully I picked good. Okay. As you can see here, Jen Benno's report, which is in the documents, noted some invasive species, most notably Phragmites and tree of heaven in this area. Commissioner Munson had asked that be considered as a condition that those invasives be removed with the development of this section of the project. Mr. Steve Wing, the landscape architect, agreed that he would watch the invasives. I don't know that this small area of frag removal is something that can be accomplished with this project, but it is something that we should look at in the future.
Mr. Munson.
Yes, I read something up on the tree of heaven. With the other plantings, I think over time, whatever can't be pulled out or removed, shouldn't be a problem because tree of heaven does not do well in the shade. And the other things will, I think, the other plantings will overcome that. So tree of heaven spreads not only with seeds but also with roots, according to I don't think, as long as they just sort of get it, it was all saplings to begin with, so it's not like it's well established. So I think what Steve Wing said he was going to do, I think would probably be sufficient. And it's not, without seeing it, I don't know, but seems like what they were going to do would be sufficient. I think there are other invasives that are probably more of a problem that we'll have to deal with, I think.
Okay. Mary Rose, just to follow up on that, do you feel like there's a condition that we should attach to this application, or do you feel like the design addresses that concern?
There isn't an invasive plan in the design. Mr. Wing had said that he would advocate watching out for invasives while they were doing the plantings. As typical, I have proposed conditions for you. You can add or subtract as you wish. And one that I've included was permittee must monitor and remove invasive species as appropriate per the project landscape architect.
I'd be comfortable with adding that. I think it's a very well designed plan, as I believe Commissioner Jim Connors mentioned at the onset of or at the conclusion of the last presentation or initial presentation. So I'm a fan of approving this if everyone else is.
I think we should approve this plan, but I don't particularly have a motion to read tonight, so.
We can
Mr.
have Mary
Chairman,
Rose.
I have the motion here, I think.
Okay, Mr. Munson, do you want to read the motion? That's great.
No more questions? Okay, all right. Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application 57 New Haven Avenue, Founder's Walk, based on the plans entitled Founder's Walk Phase 2, Shipyard Lane, Milford, Connecticut, 06460, by Silver Petroselli Associates, 29 sheets, submitted 12/4/23. The information in the file presented this evening for the following reasons. This action will not have an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses, with conditions including: the permit team must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Soil erosion and sedimentation controls as outlined on the plans and in the Connecticut DEP 2022 erosion and sedimentation control guidelines must be installed and maintained on the site until the property is stabilized. Compliance with the city engineer's requirements for erosion controls and stormwater treatment must be installed as approved on the plans unless any changes are approved in writing prior to making that change. Stormwater maintenance manual to be submitted within 90 days a final project approval. Permit team must monitor and remove invasive species as appropriate per the project landscape architect. Submission of a permit construction bond estimated by estimate for sedimentation and erosion controls, site plannings, and an as-built showing finished 2-foot contours and locating all site structures and improvements. Construction bond to be calculated must be posted with the MIWA for sedimentation and erosion controls, site plannings, and an as-built showing finished 2-foot contours and locating all site structures and improvements. The permit team must submit a certification by the project engineer that the completed project meets the design and intent of the approval prior to bonds being released. The permit is issued January 3rd, 2024, expires January 3rd, 2029, unless otherwise provided by statute. That is my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Munson. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Valvo. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, roll call vote, please.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bettiger,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item F1, new business. Mary Rose, can you introduce this matter, please?
Sure. This is, sorry, my screen froze. This is, IWC 230014, 68 Surf Avenue. And the adjacent City of Milford, Willow Street right-of-way. It's improvements in material storage on site and in the Willow Street City right-of-way in and within 100 feet of inland wetlands in the South Central Shoreline Watershed without a permit. Give me just 1 second. I will change the share to show you the area we're in. We're looking at this site right here where the blue dot is at 68 Surf Avenue. So this is a violation that was issued on 12/28/23 for work in a wetland and 100-foot upland review area without benefit of permit at 68 Surf Avenue. Based on a complaint, I visited 68 Surf Avenue on 12/27/23 with zoning officer Harris. We found 2 sheds, a deck, wood storage, and piles of miscellaneous yard waste and debris in and within 100 feet of wetlands in the South Central Shoreline Watershed. These improvements appear to be on 68 Surf Avenue and a portion of the unimproved portion of Willow Street, both of which abut Silver Sands State Park, which is to the rear over here. Based on information in the file for the adjacent property at 74 Surf Avenue, which this agency approved back, I believe, in 2018, the city wetland and GIS mapping showed there appears to be work in and adjacent to wetlands. The inland wetland line is roughly like this. Obviously, at that time, the flagging did not go on to 68 Surf, and tidal wetlands are further back on the property. The CEO and I spoke with a man on the site who claimed the land was his. The property owner of record is Elizabeth McDonald. We sent a certified mailing out on 12/28/23. I had not been contacted by Ms. McDonald, but I do see she is with us here this evening. I can share photos of the sidewalk. Pardon me, scroll closer. This is standing in Surf Avenue. The Willow Street right-of-way goes at an angle, so it goes approximately from the grass on this side of the driveway and just about 3 or 4 feet off the garage and towards the back. In the rear of the yard, the phragmites you see is Silver Sands State Park. So the majority of this portion of the site is the city paper street. And this property over here is number 74. As you get further back, we're now back in here where the fence is. This is zoning officer Harris. Looking as the two fences converge across the 30 feet right away for Willow Street. Standing on the right of way, looking at the properties, there's wood pile, leaves or debris pile, miscellaneous garden stuff. Looks like an ATV. There was a couple of sheds, a deck with a shed on it. And that's pretty much what we saw on the property. Back to the overview, and I can stop the share. The agency, sorry, Mr. Chairman, the agency this evening can ask questions, can uphold the violation, release the violation, modify the violation, or refer the violation to the city attorney's office.
Thank you, Mary Rose, for the orientation. Is it Miss McDonald?
Hi.
Hi. Would you like to add anything to the record?
So first of all, I want to say it was an honor to participate, if you will, in your yearly elections. That was pretty neat to be a part of. So thank you, I guess, for allowing me to be part of that. So if I could just introduce myself real quick. So I'm Liz McDonald. I'm the owner of the property. I was recently married. John is my husband. So I just wanted to clarify that my maiden name is still in the house, and I am currently still the owner. So wanted to clarify that. And also let you know I'm a 22-year resident of Milford. This is the third home I've owned without incident. And I work full-time for Subway International headquarters. Sorry we left Milford, was not my decision. So I'm getting used to a commute to Shelton, but so I kind of wanted to introduce me, also set the stage that I've never been through a process like this. So I ask your patience and guidance as we work through whatever we need to work through. And I guess I'm looking at tonight as trying to get a better understanding of what the issues are and what your expectations are for mediation, and kind of find a path forward. Our goal is to comply. We didn't know we were out of compliance with the things listed. So there was no malintent. I'm happy to answer questions, or I guess I kind of want more detail about what the problems are and what you guys want us to do about it.
Great, thanks very much. Ms., is it Miss or Ms. or Mrs.?
You can call me Liz if you're comfortable calling me. That's fine.
Either way, I mean, so first of all, thank you for your introduction, and you're sitting amongst Milford residents who volunteer their time, and I think your questions are fair. We would, get some guidance from Mary Rose on what the problem areas are, and we will work with you to ensure that there's a path to getting to compliance.
Right.
And so maybe Mary Rose, you can kind of give us a little bit more guidance on what you recommend.
Sure. It appears that there's several things on the rear of the property that haven't been permitted. I can't find permits in the file for the pool, the sheds, the outbuildings and such. So we can work to bring those into compliance. If you have a plot plan, we don't have one in the office for you, but if you have a plot plan, we can work with you through trying to get those permitted. Our main concern is the protection of the resource.
Yes, of course. If I could ask a clarifying question on the things you just mentioned. The pool is an in-text, like put it up yourself pool. So we weren't aware or thought that you required a permit on something like that. And then the deck is not a permanent fixture. It's literally like you could pick it up and move it. So that was my question. I didn't know if you knew that and if that makes a difference in anything. The greenhouse is also movable. None of those structures are connected to the ground in any kind of way. They were erected to be moved. So I wanted to add that. And I don't know if that makes any difference.
It's still work in the upland or wetland and review area without benefit of permit. I can't speak for zoning as to how they would view that. You also need to be cognizant that you are in a flood zone. And if they're not tethered down in any way, they will move and become projectiles in a flood. So
Absolutely. And
Um,
we've gone through storm readiness several times over the years, so we understand that as well. But I just wanted to note that we can table that, but I wanted to note that they are not permanent. Like, we didn't build them into the ground. There's no cement or anything like that, but they are movable for storms if they are to come. And again, if I did require a permit for that pool, I did not know it. I thought it was you know, one of those put them up yourself jobbies that you didn't. It was, yeah. And as far as the debris that you're citing, the wood pile that was in the picture and the ATV, and all the debris, we've had a very laborious New Year's Day and cleared all of that. So that's all been cleared.
um,
I'll also add that the boats in the front, the one closest to our house is removed. It's gone. We got rid of that. And the other boat that's closest to the neighbor, which is really right in the middle of the paper street, that actually belongs to the neighbor. That's not our boat. I've raised the issue to him. He says he's working on getting it removed.
got it.
So it would be Aaron West to the right.
I'm sorry, Aaron.
Aaron West is I think it's number 74.
Gotcha.
So that is his boat. So the boat is gone.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I got your letter and we immediately got to work. So
Got it. So typically the agency would require some kind of map or plan to show, you know, what the proximity of the improvements to the wetland. So we don't have a map on file in the office. I don't know if you have one or you've got one when you purchased
So I
lot.
dug out the sales documents from when I bought the house. It'll be, I think, 8 or 9 years this February. And there is information about the deed and a plot plan in there that I don't know if that's what you're looking for. Again, this is, I don't know what I don't know, so I don't 100%
For you,
know.
Mr. Chair, just heads up, Liz. I know you're not doing it on purpose, but so if we're just taking turns speaking, just allow Mary Rose to go through everything that you're trying to get the information for, and then raise your hand when you want to speak. I appreciate it. Thank you. Just because we're under Robert's rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connors. So
Thank
Mary
you.
Rose, just keep giving us some guidance on what.
So typically the agency would require the plan, which you may have in your documents, to show where the wetlands are in relation to where the improvements are. We have a rough plan from when the house next door was built that shows kind of where the, get the share going for a second. It shows that the, it's not on the screen, but the inland wetland line is up here somewhere, and then the tidal wetland line is back here somewhere. So it ends, the people, when they did, number 80 did that delineation, they didn't go on to the property, your property. So the line probably doesn't end here. Typically it'll follow a contour. It may not. If this was historically filled, it may go back to where the state park is. The idea is to try to find where that wetland line is and to protect or restore the area. Maybe the wetlands were filled in years ago. Maybe they're not on your property, but maybe they go across this area of your property, and that's something that we'll probably need to determine. It's up to the agency how they want to address that. Typically it's by a professional wetland scientist or a certified soil scientist who can, in the state of Connecticut, define where wetlands are. But again, your plan and paperwork may have that. So typically at a meeting like this, the agency would say, hey, get us a map, show us the information, show what improvements are or not in the wetlands, and how we can stabilize the area to get you what you want in your yard without impacting the resources or getting it permitted appropriately. You don't have, we can't see that map right now. The agency can either order you to bring some information for the next meeting, get it to the office so I can get it to them, or they can order a larger survey and such to be submitted by certain times. And that's the agency's purview with how they'd like that addressed. Violations stand until the agency releases them. I'm not able to release a violation. And, I can come out and meet with you and walk and take more pictures to show that the work that you did. Thank you so much for cleaning that up. It's a tough week to do that. And that's pretty much it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mary Rose. I would recommend, and like the commissioners to deliberate on this, but I would recommend a two-stage process here. First stage is to gather the information, give the homeowner the opportunity to provide whatever map may exist in the sales documentation, and sort of stop short of hiring or having to hire a professional wetland scientist. I don't think given the situation that we've heard tonight warrants having to incur a professional wetland scientist drawing. If others feel differently, please speak up.
No, I agree with you, Brendan.
I think, it's a fair and balanced statute. I think the work, whatever work has been done is minimal. And I feel like, we're educating the homeowner here and they're cooperating, and we need to sort of be as fair and reasonable as possible. So I do think we should uphold the violation with the idea that I mentioned earlier, that the homeowner give Mary Rose the information that she has and give the homeowner the opportunity to work with Mary Rose before our next meeting, to come back before us with a little bit more clear sort of understanding of the situation and whether there's any sort of mitigation that's required. Mr. Munson, your thoughts?
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. Given the holidays, have to get things done, given the fact we're going to have some snow, I guess, this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as the Ms. McDonald works with Mary Rose to sort of get the ball rolling and we get a better picture of what we're dealing with here. This is not terribly complicated, I don't think. I think if she works with Mary Rose, we can just sort of put off any formal requirements until the next meeting at least.
Great. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Not quite, Mr. Chairman. I'm working on that.
Okay.
So
Matthew Connors has his hands recognized. I recognize you, Mr. Connors.
So just through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask the question, how would we go about deciding what needs to be done if we don't have that? How would we get that information without a delineated wetland line? Basically what I would ask us as a group.
It's a fair question. Mary Rose, I'd like you to answer if you could, and my
Okay.
thoughts.
In Connecticut, only a professional wetland scientist, certified soil scientist can put in a wetland line. What Ms. McDonald may have is she may have a map that has that information on it. We don't know the age and date of that information, but she may have that. So working with her to see what information she may have that we can help her become compliant with is probably a good step. Down the road, if we need a soil scientist to go out and review it, the agency can make a determination for that at that time.
Yeah,
And
so
obviously, I'm all for trying to make it as easy as possible because there was no malintent here, clearly. But yeah, I just wanted to get that up.
and I believe the other factor, the factor that is sort of one of the key principles, is that there doesn't seem to be any, you know, significant impact. For example, there's no permanent installation of the shed, you know, with boron, you know, construction and things of that nature. So that to me lends itself to this two-stage approach that we're talking about.
Then through you, Mr. Chair, I mean, my only concern my main concern is what Mary Rose brought up, which is the flood zone and the pool. I think, but as you said, Ms. McDonald, all of these things are movable, right? I don't know if that's an opportunity that you have to move it somewhere up. I just don't know where the wetland line is or the flood zone is. So I guess we're just waiting on that information.
Yeah, well, if she has a map that shows the wetland line, in my opinion, maybe the sheds and stuff could be moved away from that and help them become compliant.
Agreed. But it's a fair point that Mr. Connors raises. If we don't have that information at the next meeting,
Then we'll have to get it, that's all.
we're going to have to deliberate whether, you know, we need to order that soil scientist study to be undertaken. And so to the homeowner, to Ms. McDonald, that would require you to contract that work. And so we're, you know, just trying to be mindful of whether or not that expense may need to be incurred. We're trying to be sensitive to your situation while balancing the statutory requirements. Okay, Rose, so it sounds like we have a pretty good deliberation on this, and it sounds like we may have a motion that, Rose, you may have drafted for us.
What I've drafted, and it may have changed directions while you were speaking, so please edit as you wish. Mr. Chairman, I move that cease and desist order IWC 230014, 68 Surf Avenue and City of Milford, Willow Street right-of-way be upheld, and that the homeowner be required to work with the compliance officer to review what information she has and what is necessary to bring the work into compliance. Such information to be brought to the agency for the January 17th, 2024 meeting.
That is a motion. Do we have somebody who's made the motion? Mr. Munson?
Make that
Make that
motion.
motion. And I'll second it then.
Great.
I'm sorry, who made it?
Steve,
Mr. Munson
Okay.
and Mr. Jim Connors seconded it. Do you have any further discussion on the motion? My only discussion is, Mary Rose, I'm not sure if you mentioned this or if it should be included, but do you want to, is it necessary to put on the motion that you would work with the homeowner in terms of doing a site another site visit, or is there anything additional that you might glean from going on back on the site to understand whether there's any impacts?
Most certainly, it sounds like Ms. McDonald has pulled away some of the things that were a concern when we were on the site last week. So if I can meet with her, snow dependent, before the meeting on the 17th, I can bring the agency picture showing the wood pile and the things that were most clearly appear to be in a wetland have been moved away. That would give you more information. Alternately, Ms. McDonald could also submit those pictures.
Yeah, I think that would be good if we can just make that part of the record, that is part of the activity that we're expecting to take place.
Including photographic evidence.
Of the remediation. Do we have a motion to include that as an amendment to the main motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Connor,
Second it.
and it's seconded. Okay, any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, Lisa, roll call vote on the amendment to the main motion.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye. And now back to the main motion. Any further discussion on the main motion? If there's no further discussion, Lisa, roll call vote.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors, Jim,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye, the motion does carry. Ms. McDonald, thank you for coming before us and for all of the information you provided and for the sweat equity over the holiday.
Well, thank you very much. So one question as far as follow-up, I'm looking at the letter that I received, but I don't have an email for Mary Rose. How will I contact you to coordinate sending you pictures and maybe setting up a meeting, you know, depending on schedules and the snow, maybe we have another Zoom call, we can look at the pictures together or so forth. So what's
Sure.
the best way for me to communicate?
You can call the numbers that are on the letter, or I
Okay.
can give you my email address right now if you'd like.
Sure. Why don't you give me the email?
Okay, it's P as in Paul, ALUMBO at Milford CT.gov.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, we'll be in touch then.
All right, give me a call. We're in the office tomorrow and Friday.
All right, great. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
good day.
again for
Thank you for coming.
attending this evening, Ms. McDonald. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, moving on to staff report, Mary Rose.
I'm sorry, can we back up for a second? Lisa, can I have the who motioned and seconded that motion?
The amendment
Second
was
it.
Matt Connors and Jim Connors.
And the main motion was Munson and Connors?
Yes.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
No problem.
All right. Staff report. I'm sorry.
Wait,
It's
minute.
not minutes. My bad.
Oh, minutes. I skipped minutes. I'm sorry. All right. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the December 20th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Favo. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Lisa, roll call vote.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker.
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Saying I wasn't here.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brenda Magnan.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Staff report.
Alrighty, I'll make this quick. It's all in the notes. Reminder that there are some terms expiring. The mayor's office letters will go out today or went out today. And those being reappointed. And we have two new members also being appointed at the aldermanic meeting on Monday night. So to sit for the meeting on 117, you'll need to be sworn in again. Do you want me to go through the rest of the notes, or do you want me to save the training things for the next meeting?
I would save them for the
Yes, it sounds like a good idea.
newbies. So moving on to chair's report. Thanks again, everybody, for your vote of confidence and for everyone's attendance this evening, and in advance for your volunteer service for the year. It's fantastic that we have a good crew going into the year. We're set up for success. Thank you again. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
A motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Lisa, roll call vote.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors. Jim,
Aye.
Matthew
Aye.
Connors.
Aye.
Steve Munson,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Brendan Magnan.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Good night,
everyone for your
everybody.
time.
Thank
Good
you.
night, all.
Happy
Yes.
New
Good
Year.
night.
Thank you, Mary Rose. Thank you, Lisa.